This review is for the Perwin 1701 Multitool. I'm not sure about that logo, just for easy. They might want to work on that. But comes in that box, and then it has this hard case. The case is good, it's just a little big. So when you look at the tool, you can see how much that moves around. I have my Gerber here. My Gerber does not move around. It fits nice and tight in that case. But this one moves around. If it's open, it just slips right out. It is a decent knife for the price. It's not a Leatherman, I'll tell you that much. You know, you open it up. My main concern with this is a couple of things. The blades actually are supported only by this thin piece of metal, and when you look at something like the Leatherman Wave and how these are supported, they are supported by this thicker piece of metal here. And when you look at, you know, how thin that piece of metal is to that, it's pretty thin. I can't bend this in when I squeeze it, so it's a pretty hard metal, and it might support it. That's the only thing that you know, I would be concerned with. My other issue is with these cutters. These cutters are more of a shear. I don't know if you can see that in there, but that's more of a shear. There is no blade. You know, they come down right next to each other, and when you cut wire, it does not cut it clean. So it is cutting it, but what you're going to see here, if I can get it to focus on that, is it creates a flat spot in the end. And on a couple of the cuts that I did, the wire is hanging out of the end of it, and it's just it's not a clean cut. And when you do something with like these Gerbers, I'll show you. All right, that's the end of the Gerber cut, nice and clean. Same thing with this Leatherman Wave. You know, if I cut something with the Leatherman Wave, it's a nice clean cut, and cuts it every single time. With these Perwins, I've had a couple of times where I've cut that wire and it's basically just, it didn't cut all the way through the strands inside the jacket. So you had a couple hanging out. It just made a very messy cut, and they look like they're replaceable. They have these little bolts, machine screws that are holding that in, but I don't know if you can actually buy different blades for this or anything else. And in the way that it's designed to shear like that. It's not terrible. It seems to do much better on these thicker cables, but you're still getting that weird flat spot. You can see that, you know, and maybe that works for you. I don't know. I don't like it, but it's not terrible. It doesn't discount these at all. It does cut the wire. It just gives you a weird end, and if you can deal with that, you're okay. It's not terrible. The blade on this thing is quite sharp. That's your blade there. It is quite sharp. You know, razor sharp. I don't know how long it'll hold up, but it looks like good steel. You know, there's no issues with it at all. It locks out nice and easy. The locks for all the outside tools are this little lever here. You push in on it, and then you can fold it in. You can one finger open it, just as the box says. On the outside pieces, you have these little locks here. So, you know, inside here you have your needle and your stitching needle and your Phillips head screwdriver. And if you pull one of these out and have it locked, they come out very easy too. I would say that is nice. Some of my other tools, it's difficult. It feels like you're going to rip your fingernail off. But when they're out and they're locked in place, you just push this little black lever and then they're released. And you can fold them back in. On the other side, you have the can opener. You have a cord cutter, good for paracord and stuff. you have the flathead screwdriver with the bottle opener, and then you have a can opener. And normally the can openers on these tools are sharp, but this is not super sharp. I would imagine it will still cut into a can, but if I look at the can opener on these, let's see if I can find it here quick. Yeah, so no, that one's not sharp either, and that's the Gerber. So I've had a couple that were sharp, but I guess that's not always the case. This one here is somewhat sharp, not as sharp, but yeah, okay. The scissors on these things are interesting as well. You see the scissors here, so you open those up, you have to push this little lever up so that they'll lock in place, and then that lever stays where it is, and that acts as your spring. They're quite sharp. They could come in handy. You know, they seem like they would work pretty good, and they almost seem like they're like the trauma scissors with that little nose on the bottom to get underneath things. Again, push that button to release it, and then it closes nice and easy. They're nice multi-tool. I have no issue with it for the price. It's quite good. I actually picked this up for my 9-year-old son, who's been asking me if he could have one after seeing me with, these, and I have more in the toolbox in the shop. I have one just about everywhere that I find myself. I have one of these stored somewhere, and then I carry the Gerber with me pretty much every day. But yeah, it'll definitely do for him. It's sharp, so if you're giving it to a kid, I would be very, very cautious. But my son has had Swiss Army knives and other knives and hatchets and things like that. He's really good with his stuff, so I'm not too worried about it with him, but I'm not recommending it for you. But yeah, worth it for the cost. This is actually one of the better ones that I've seen, with a couple little minor issues like the case and stuff. I wouldn't want to be walking around with this thing wobbling around inside the case. It's a pain in the ass. But the case is solid and it will keep it protected. Button snaps good, so it's going to stay in there. Not an issue, but for the price, definitely think it's worth it. I would recommend it with the stipulations and things that I've realized, noticed as I was looking at it. And I hope that helps. Thank you.